Okay, good morning one more time, and it's the Money Code conversation, and this is module one. So, for those of us joining at the very beginning, I say a very big welcome to you and thank you for coming in early. And like I said earlier, we are taking off immediately. If anybody joins us after a few minutes, oh, they are very welcome, but they will meet that we are already on our way. So, what is the money code about, and is it not about? I need us to get that out of the way. What is the money code? What is it about? For those into programming, they understand that when you write a code, it does certain things. And then the idea behind the money code is that there is something about money that follows certain principles. That's the reason why some people have it, some don't have it. Money is not something that happens by chance. And that's why some people can make money and lose everything, whereas others can lose everything and make it back. So, what is all of this money code? What is it all about? Now, first of all, I want to deal with why are we doing this? For very many of us on this program, we spend most of our waking life working for money or doing something that has to do with money. We go to school so that we can earn more money. We go to work so that we can earn more money. But one bad thing about going to school, from my perspective until my recent learning, is that they don't teach you about money in school. They teach you how to work. They teach you how to program. They teach you how to write a letter. They teach you how to be a secretary. But they don't have a course where they teach you how money works or how you make money, how you manage money. You study every other thing but money. So what this is all about, what the money code is all about, is an education on what money is. And this is not a motivational section. Forgive me if I'm not going to quote that you are going to make it, you are the head, you are the top, you are the best. Forgive me if I'm not going to do that, because I'm sure for you to sign up for this program, for you to come in this early Saturday morning, when you could be doing any other thing, you are already motivated. So I need you to know the first thing about the money code is that it is not about motivation. If you get motivated, I have no problem with that. But I want you to get educated about money. There are many people who may have PhDs or they may have doctorate, they may have bachelor's degree, but they are illiterate when it comes to money. So money code is about educating yourself about money. When you know how money works, you also know how to work for money. Now, what are the challenges we are looking at today? I've mentioned a couple of them. One, most people want money, but they do not understand money. That's quite strange. You want money, but you don't understand money. That's a problem. Two, most people work for money. I was speaking to a man who is about 80-year-old yesterday, and I said to him, you have not retired? He said, no. When will he retire and go to what will he do? He's been working maybe since he was 20. He's 80, still working. Most people work for money, but they don't understand how money works. Number three, hard work is not equal to financial security. Money code is not about working harder. No. Before you even work hard, before you work, you must understand money. You must be educated about money. So hard work does not equal financial security. As a Nigerian, you can easily tell if hard work equals financial security, the people working the hardest, the people on our side, the people pushing wheelbarrows, the people carrying 2 bags of cement on their head, they should be the richest. Hard work does not equal financial security. That's a challenge. People think if I work harder, I'll be richer. It doesn't follow. Hard work is good, but it doesn't follow that the harder you work, the more money you will make. Income alone does not solve money problem. I know somebody I've had to teach this again and again, because every time the person has money problems, what the person is always thinking, if I get more money, can I tell you, as somebody who has gotten more money, income alone will not solve your money problem. You must understand money. If you understand money, your income can become a useful tool to solve your money problem. And then finally, the real issue we are tackling today is financial literacy. Who is teaching people about money? What do you know about money? That's what we are facing today. Now, what is money? That's an important question I will deal with now before we deal with what this program is and what it is not. For most people, they think money is cash. Not just cash. Money is a tool, first of all. Number two, money is stored if effort. So that when you do something today, you can gain in the future. Number three, money is a system. I like when the government calls it the financial system. Money is a system. There are rules, there are institutions, there are trusts. There's a way money works. If you don't understand it, you always be on the outside looking in. Number four, money is a measure of value. That's why when you see an item, you may want to pay 1,000 for it. When you see another item, you want to pay 1,000,000. It is a measure of the value you put on the item. Number five, money is leverage. I know somebody who thinks the only thing money is for is to be spent. I'm sure some of us have heard the statement, money is meant to be spent. No, not just spent. Money is leverage. And then I need you to remember this, money is a system, not just cash. Now you're going to understand the difference between income and wealth. Income is what you earn, wealth is what you retain. Assets and liabilities. Oh, when I did a course in accounting recently, I understood the difference between assets and liabilities. Depending on where you are, your car may be an asset or it may be a liability. Depending on where you are financially or where you are heading to, your house may even be an asset or a liability. It depends. And then finally, activity versus value creation. Most of us work. But how much value are we creating? Because it's not just enough to be active. You make money from the value you create. Now, imagine you are playing the football game, but you don't understand the rules of the football. You are applying the rules of basketball or handball to football. If you don't understand the rules of the money game, you can't win. Now, let me give us a background to what we'll consider in this series of lectures. There are lectures, there are classes, there are teaching. 3 pillars of the money code. Number one, making money. That is foundational. Making money. Talk about skills, income, and value exchange. Number two, managing money. Many people fail here. They make money, they spend it. They make money, they lose it. They make money, it is gone. They don't even know where it went to. Managing money. This we talk about cash flow. We talk about discipline. We talk about budgeting, which gives you freedom. Finally, multiplying money. This is where money becomes sweet. This is where money starts to work for you. When you make, you manage, and then you multiply. So you get to a point when somebody says, I want to retire, you should have money working for you. Multiplying money. If you cannot manage and multiply money, you will work for the rest of your life. That is that. Now, let me tell you what this program is not. This is more like a disclaimer. Number one, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, okay? A motivational section will tell you, after this section, you double your money. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, no. We even have programs that extend for the whole year, so this is not get-rich-quick scheme. This is not a forex hype. I'm not selling you an investment. I'm bringing you education. I'm not saying, oh, invest in forex. Forex is good, but this is not, I'm not selling you any forex. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not selling you crypto. Oh, if you invest in this Bitcoin or which coin, that's not what we are doing here. So I need you to get your mind settled. Oh, he's going to talk and then sell us crypto, forex. No. And I'm not selling you motivation without structure. You know, motivation without structure is why you go to a motivation seminar. You are very excited on Saturday, but you wake up on Monday, you don't know the first thing, you don't know the next step to take because there's motivation without structure, without education. Now, what is this about? This is practical money education. Principles that work everywhere. Nigeria, interestingly, our speaker used to live in Nigeria, doesn't live in Nigeria anymore, but the principles work anywhere. These are tools for real life. Like I said, we go to school, nobody really taught us about money. So these are the tools for real life. Now, this is a starting point, not a finish line. So, like I said, we are not saying, oh, after today's section, your money has doubled. No, we don't have a get-rich-quick scheme here. This is a starting point. There's a Nigerian song that says, Dangote still dey find money. I'm sure we all heard that song. So this is a starting point. So even when you've doubled your income, you've tripled your income, you are still on a journey. Now, let me say this before I hand us over to our speaker for the day. I have 2 more minutes. How to get the best out of today's section. If you haven't, get a notebook by yourself. I have my pen, I have my notes. That's my pen. I have my notes here. So get a notebook by yourself. This is my note. This is my writing material. Get a notebook by yourself. Take notes. Listen for principles, not just tactics. Now, when you hear motivational speakers speak, they say, I did this and I did that. And you are not them, and you cannot repeat what they just did because you don't have the same leverage, you don't have the same capacity, competence. Don't listen to just tactics, what the person did. Listen to the principles behind. Number 3, you are free. Questions. Anything you don't understand, ask. You can only be a fool. As an interesting, we don't have 1 million people here. So ask your questions. And the interesting thing about questions I've learned in classes is sometimes when you ask a question bothering you, you realize it was bothering other people, but maybe they were too shy to ask or something else. Now, number 4, reflect on your own money mindset and habits. It means that there are some things you will need to change, mindset and habits. 5, keep an open mind. Now, this last one is also important. Take personal responsibility for your finances. And then finally, when it's all said, something should be done. You know, they say when it's all said and done. When it's all said, something should be done. Take action. The whole essence of this education, this conversation, this teaching, the questions is taking action. And money loves speed. So it means that you can actually start taking action today. It's actually better you start taking action today. I understand that some of us did New Year resolution, and sometimes some of us haven't done anything about our New Year resolution. Today is a good day to start taking action. Money loves speed. Have an idea, take action immediately. That is that. So I say, welcome to the Money Code. Today is day 1 of our 12-part series. I need to say that again. Today is module 1 of our 12-part series. We're going to have different speakers, different topics. So for once every month in 2026, we're going to stop and talk about money. We are not just going to rush and keep working, doing the same thing we've been doing, trying to earn money. We are going to learn about money. So today we are starting at the very beginning, talking about awareness and money mindset. That is the foundation of money. So I'm going to bring up our speaker for today, Chidi Okoro, who is going to help us lay the foundation for money. So I'm going to hand this section over to him. I'm going to stop my sharing. So Chidi, are you ready for us? I'm handing the section over to you. I just stopped sharing. And then once again, I want to say thank you to everybody who is here. Vivian, David, nice to have you join me. Damaris, Lanry, thank you for joining me. Victor, Phil, King Salem, everybody here, thank you all, and I say welcome. So I'm going to get out of the way, fade into the background, and let Chidi take us from here. So Chidi, the floor is yours.
Good morning, all. Good morning, everyone. I want to start with a quiz, kind of a weird place to start, but let's start with this. If someone can just pop this, if you go to slido.com, that's this URL, you just type in this code, and you'll see this question pop up. This is supposed to be a word cloud. It's just supposed to share it's anonymous, so you don't need to worry about what you post. If you're using your computer, you can use a browser. You can just use your browser and go to slido.com. I want to just see what we think about money. If you think about money, what is the first word that comes to your head? Psychologically, mentally, emotionally, what is the first word? So let's just get typing. I want to see how many words appear, possible multiple times. Just one word response. If I tell you, okay, we're talking about money, or this issue is about money, what is the first word that comes to your mind? Any responses? Any responses? Waiting for some responses. No response yet. Yeah. Okay, we have scarce. One person. Another response. Ooh, hard. Asset. Good. Hmm. So, few more words, then we will get rolling. It's okay. Two people have responded with 3 words, which is good. Any more? Any more for any more? Oh, money is good. Sure, money is good. Having it is good. Sorry. Need to go back to my Slido. One more response, and we'll call it one person is typing investment. Okay, we have asset, we have investment, we have scarce, we have hard, and we have money is good, and hard currency. Good. We'll come back to this. You can keep typing. We'll come back to this somewhere down the line, but let's get on with other things we have to do. The Slido is still open. Unfortunately, the code is not available anymore, but if you have the code, you can just continue responding. We'll look at that down the line. Um, Deacon Ken has said um, has said a lot already, and I'll just click through. So we have a few pages of slide, about 10 slides for this section, and then we'll have a second part where we'll be talking about some other things. This is Money Code, and this is Foundations of Money, Awareness and Mindset. I asked the question about mindset. That question is supposed to show, actually, it's supposed to reflect what people generally think whenever they think about money. So it's supposed to reflect kind of the mindset. We have a 30 minutes part 1 session, and then we have a 35 minutes part 2 section. We have some participant outputs. As Ken said, we have we expect that this is supposed to bring out some changes in behavior beyond just listening and, oh, when all is said. We want to have also when all is done. So there's supposed to be some output from the first, which is an evaluation of yourself and to calculate, okay, what is my money behavior? Then the last part, the second part is I'll include a tool. I've included a tool somewhere in the slide that will help you to be able to graphically view your cash flow. So you develop a cash flow for yourself, what your income looks like, what your expenses look like, if there is any asset, if there is any additional income, if you have a side business. So all that will be shown graphically. I'll show you the tool somewhere down the line. That's also part of part 2. So we go straight to part 1. These are all the topics we're going to be taking. Who and what are you? Are you a spender? Are you a saver? Are you very careful with money? Do you budget? Do you not? Do you think you you have done the best. I was speaking with someone a few weeks back, and the person said, if you print your statement for the past 5 years, do you feel encouraged, or do you feel motivated, or do you feel sad? Do you feel you wasted the money that came through your account? All those kind of things. We will need to be able to answer all that from part 1. It's more about the mind. Then part 2 goes a little more practical. You can take a screenshot of this. I think the slide will be available. I'll export a version that should be available for everyone. Then we go straight to part 1, right here. The psychology and behavior of money. As I said previously, our output from this is a personal evaluation. I have this beautiful Greek symbol. An open question. Can anyone tell me what this symbol means, or what the Greek means, without ChatGPT and without Google, please? Anyone? Going once?
Like skeleton.
Well, it
Very
shows your
thin, very thin. If those are his bones showing, very thin.
it shows an X-ray of the person, actually. The idea is
Okay.
just to show the inner part of the person. So, but it is a symbol somewhere in Greece, and it is a symbol of something that was said by one of the philosophers, some of the philosophers. Anybody? Anybody going? Okay,
I think it's self.
Yes, who said that?
It's Philip.
Oh, Philip. Okay, so it's Socrates. It says, know thyself. Trying to save the King James version of English. So, but know yourself, essentially. Do you know yourself? If you sit down at the moment and kind of stay away from your present body, and you're supposed to talk to someone about this person who is sitting down, can you tell yourself who you are? When it comes to money, are you able to tell yourself the truth? The first kind of revelation you can ever have, the first kind of introspection you can ever have when it comes to money, is to be able to tell yourself the truth. Not to criticize yourself, or not to feel depressed, but to tell yourself, I made a mistake here. I should have done this differently. Or I did very well here. Hooray, I should give myself a treat. Do you know yourself? Aristotle also has something similar. He says, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Some people shy away from telling themselves the truth. And some people are too hard on themselves. So they spend a lot of time feeling sad about what they've told themselves, which is a bad situation to be. Either of them are extremes, which you shouldn't be. You should be somewhere in the middle, where you tell yourself the truth, pick up the pieces, and forge ahead. A few weeks back, I heard of a story of someone who was in a relationship, and the relationship went bad. And when the relationship went bad, the person was sad for a while. After the period of mourning the relationship, the person picked up themselves, and they've been doing fairly well psychologically, mentally, and otherwise. That is the same kind of attributes that we expect with money. You enter into a deal, the deal doesn't go well. You do all your research, you do all your personal, you make sure you're well convinced beyond emotions that this is a good investment. Then the investment doesn't go well. What do? You tell yourself, never again will I invest. Man, that's not good. Or do you tell yourself, well, this was an investment that went bad. Maybe I should have done additional research. And subsequently, when you have an opening to such an investment, you do all your additional research. Then lastly, Pythagoras also has a type of the same. He said, man, know thyself, then thou shalt know the universe and God. Pythagoras was a Christian philosopher. All of them are around the same, thinking about the same thing. But if you don't know yourself, even your religion can be brought to question. This is well, this is from Pythagoras, and I found it to be true, because let's assume your religion is money in this our scenario. You can't know well enough about money, and you can't do well with money without knowing yourself. And in Pythagoras terms, if you are a Christian or a Muslim or an atheist, you can't know enough about whatever God you believe in without knowing so much about yourself. What will you do if God says, say, do not walk on the road, walk only on the sidewalk? If you don't know your tendency to walk on the road, you won't appreciate the position of God and his instruction. So it covers every facet. He talked about God here, but it applies to every facet of life. If you don't know your tendency to procrastinate, you will not be able to understand when he says do it on time, or when a prompting comes and an investment opportunity opens. Most people who have gotten wealthy have taken the decision as soon as they came. So if you don't understand your propensity for procrastination, there's a tendency to just assume it was just a prompting that you could attend to later, and later never ends. I'll talk about something down the line. So all of this sums up to the power of self-examination. What is the issue with your finances? What's your issue with your money? Have you been spending too much? Have you been earning too little? Have you been spending time scrolling? Well, Gen Zs will understand that. Have you been spending time scrolling? Or have you been spending time making money? Have you been listening and not doing? So you need to do some self-retrospection. We'll go forward. So now I'll just leave the issue of the mind. I'll move over to another part of the mind. What do you think when you think about money? Let me open up my Slido again and see what other options have come. Okay, no other responses. All the responses still what we had previously. What do you think about money? Now, in all fairness, money can be hard to come by. It can be easy to come by. In all fairness, it can be easy to spend. Sometimes it can be easy to save. Sometimes in a bid to find the balance between saving and spending, we now get to a point where we have saved so much that we're finding it difficult to spend on what we ought to. So money has various sides to it. Is money scarce? Oh, I didn't see that response before I wrote this. But is money scarce? Is money, rich people, are they really greedy? Or have they paid the price that you may not have paid? Have they, well, when I was listening to Bill Gates and some of his responses, there's a documentary on Netflix. I think I listened to it in French. I'm trying to translate it. It's inside the brain of Bill Gates, something like that. That's the translation. So I was listening to some of the things, and he mentioned that he was lucky at some point because his father had money. So when you think about his father having money, it gave him opportunity to go to better schools. But we cannot continue. Someone said when you get to age 30, it is no longer bad foundation that makes you not to have money. It is, you are now the foundation. So you have an opportunity. Build around, continue to criticize the rich guys for having money, having opportunities, or find a niche for yourself and build around that. Also, your thoughts. Do you think you're bad with money? You may be bad with money. If you're married or if you have a serious relationship, is your spouse good with money? Can you both of you find a balance? Someone said he spends a lot, but his wife doesn't. So most of the time when he collects his money, he divides a part and gives to his wife. And that way they were able to build their income. I think that was Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo. That's what he does. And it works for him. So I think one of the this whole slide, the whole idea is you need to start teaching your mind, remodel your mind. Money is good. Money is important. I like that response there that says money is good. Money is good. It is not a bad thing. And for those people who want to crucify me, who are Christians, who will say, okay, the Bible says the love of it is what is bad. So it's only the love of it that is bad. It in itself is good. And it answers a lot of things. Trust me. There are places you will need to go to, and without money, I was telling my wife a few days ago, I said, money helps you to be confident. If you have enough money, you can be confident when you go to a place. You're not worried, you're not jittery, you're not anxious, you're not worried that your shoe is not it's not the right color, it doesn't match your belt, or those kind of things. You have the means to be able to buy those stuff. And it starts from a personal choice, personal decision. I must get this done. And not by hook or crook, but by taking the right steps. And that's what we're working on in this entire school of 12 courses. So you need to identify at what state you are. There's room for growth. Are you thinking of money down? Are you thinking of money up? Are you thinking of money in between? You just need to define for yourself what is money. I believe money is good. Personally, I believe money is good. I believe money is important. I believe it plays an integral role in life generally. With the lack of money, there's a tendency to be beggarly, not to be able to take the right decisions, to be anxious always. So in a bid not to be anxious, not to be beggarly, not to be depressed, you need to have money. That is my thought. So, and I also believe rich people have paid the price, or richer people have paid the price that I have not yet paid, and that's why I'm not yet as rich as they are. Sometimes it's just a risk. Someday I will talk about my experience with S&P 500. I think a few people here on this call might even know that story, but it is all based on a risk they've taken that has turned out well. But whatever risk you're going to take, you just know you need to balance the risk with the opportunities. And let's move away from the mind a little, and let's talk about two of my friends. And this is now a physical decision, a physical step, a physical decision that both of them took. I've changed their names because of their identity, but I'll tell their stories exactly as it happened. Now, a case study why income doesn't automatically lead to wealth. Now, you have two colleagues, two of them maths graduates. One finished from Ghana, Glory finished from Ghana, and Michael, someone else's name obviously, and he finished from Nigeria. Michael was my very good friend. Gloria was a friend of his. So, but we all kind of, three of us became friends. They both got a scholarship from Google just before, about 2 years before COVID, to go to Germany to study a PhD in mathematics and do some research for Google. When they both went to Germany, the guy, Michael, he kept on saving money, he was setting money aside for the period when he was in Germany. And Glory was sending money home because family was disturbing him. Oh, support family and all that. And she kept on sending money home and really didn't have any savings. During COVID, they finished their PhD thesis just before COVID, just before the lockdown. Well, during COVID, but just before the lockdown. So when they finished their PhD thesis, Glory, at lockdown, she barely had any savings to pay for accommodation, to continue to pay for accommodation, since jobs were not opening because of the lockdown. So she traveled back to Ghana. Michael, on the other hand, stayed back in Germany throughout COVID, was able to pay for his rent and all expenses till he was able to find his way back over to the UK. Then he stayed in the UK for a while, got a job, and now he's moved to South Africa and is working in South Africa, I think, at a better pay compared to what he was receiving in the UK. Now, the two experiences are similar because they both had the same income. Michael had his responsibilities back home. He finished building a house for his parents. He was able to help his family to bury his dad while he was in Germany. And he's been help supporting the home, but not sending all of his income. He's been having some savings and putting aside some money for some investment and all that. Now, what makes these two people different is that um, you have to be up the ladder to be able to help someone below the ladder, or you should have climbed that ladder, or have an idea, or you should be up to be able to send a rope down to pull someone up. I think that's a better analogy. You cannot, in the sense of responsibility, with due respect to the fact that everybody's responsibility is different, you can't, with the sense of responsibility, send all your savings to support people. Because if all of you are down, there'll be nobody to help any other person. And that's exactly what is a painful situation, but that's exactly what's happening to my friend in Glory in Germany, in Ghana at the moment. She got back home, they've spent all the money, they've bought fancy cars, fancy clothes, they've built a new house for the father, and nobody has fiscal funds to send her back to Europe to get a job after completing her research. So she's stuck in Ghana. A sad situation, but it's something that also happens, and it transcends every other part. You see, I have responsibilities there in quotes, because sometimes people tell you, oh, they are dying. So you want to send all your savings to them because they are dying. Forgetting that you also need to also survive so that you too don't get to that dying state. It's not stinginess. It's just being able to balance support with also supporting yourself. Then I want to go to the others, which are also spending habits, debt, investment mindset, investment and mindset. All those ones are things that can be explained, we can explain to ourselves based on our introspection. But the biggest one I see is responsibility. We feel we should support somebody because they claim that they are dying. A brotherly figure of mine said something. He sent money to somebody. In short, he paid for a canteen to stay open, only to find out that it was the members of staff that were eating the food so that they couldn't make profit. Was it really his responsibility? He was feeling so sad for them, so that he was sending him money so that the canteen remains open. So these kind of situations happen all over life. I was talking to someone a while back. She sent money to somebody to support the person to help send the children to school. I won't say there are no legitimate concerns where people are in need, actual need. But this person who they were sending money to help send the children to school bought 2 houses in Abuja over a 1 week period. So sometimes people can over exaggerate their problems and make you feel responsible. So you need to just find the balance between supporting people and keeping your savings as they ought to be. Don't overflog this, but let's move on. Common financial traps amongst professional. Now, inflated lifestyle, except if you're doing social media. So if you're doing social media buzzes and you're doing your social media gig and you want people to be able to follow you, and so you can live inflated lifestyle on social media for followers and maybe likes and to build your content. But if it's not about the content, if you're trying to show off like the Joneses, you will certainly be finding that you'll be spending more than you're required to. There is over-reliance on credit. I don't think this applies to so many people in Nigeria, but there are a lot of loan apps. I remember calling Access Bank. I have to call their name here. I called them. They were always sending me, if you need a loan, you want to buy a car, just call us. Sometimes they just call me randomly. You need a loan to buy a car. You need a loan to refurnish your house. Call us. I was like, this loan is not for business. The car I'm driving is not like the best car, but it serves. It was working perfectly. So why are they always calling me? I had to call one day when they called me and they were telling me, oh, that I'm eligible for a loan. I told them, please don't call me again. if I know I'm eligible, if I need a loan, I'll walk up to you and tell you I need a loan. But nowadays you have loan apps. I saw an email come through from GT Bank telling me you are eligible for a 1 point something million naira loan. So they are all in your face, and there's a tendency to just fall for it and say, this loan is available. Let me just, I will pay it later. And when this other money comes, it doesn't ever work out like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't. As much as possible, calculate within your income. When your income is not possible, try to expand your income. A friend of mine, Ted Thompson, was a colleague also. He told me something. He said, most companies run into a cul-de-sac. They tell you, let us make more money, let us make more money. That is, unfortunately, the more difficult part. You can tell yourself, let us reduce our expenses. That is a very easy part. My dad helped me with this. When I was in the university, I was always complaining that my pocket money was finishing, my first year in the university. Then he told me one day, he said, for the rest of this month, when you go out in the morning and come back in the evening, write out what you spent on and how much you spent. I cannot tell you over this call now, but I can tell you personally if you reach out to me. I had spent almost half of my pocket money on digestive biscuits. So when I looked at it, I was like, digestive biscuit? How come? After I eliminated digestive biscuit, my pocket money started lasting. And it wasn't that it was food. It was just becoming an addiction that I was getting used to. Every day I just go and buy 20 naira digestive, 3 packs. I will eat it throughout the day. The next day I will go buy 20, or the next few hours I'll go buy another 20 naira digestive biscuit. When I summed it up in a month, it has summed up to almost more than half of my pocket money. So the same thing applies. As much as possible, it is cheaper or easier to reduce your expenses than to actually increase your income. Because for you to increase your income, you need to either improve your services if you're a business person, or reach out to richer clients, which is also going to be a little difficult to reach out to them. Or if you're if you're working 9 to 5 and you have a side business, you need to increase your offering, increase your skills. All those things take time. But to cut down your expenses is something you can decide to do today and it will start having impact today. And then lack of emergency fund. I was talking about anxiety. If you don't have money, if you don't have money set aside for emergency, there's a tendency to. I don't want to go into explaining what emergency fund is. Actually, maybe I should just explain that. Okay, emergency fund is actually 3 to 6 months of your monthly income. So you should have that amount of money saved as a go-to money that is in a savings account where you can easily just go walk to the bank and withdraw. So not a fixed deposit where you need to wait for a while. Just money you easily have access to, but it should be somewhere where they're paying you interest. So 3 to 6 months of your monthly income. So that amount of money, if you look at it, it gives you a buffer if work goes bad, if business goes bad, something like that. You should be able to easily access it. Then delayed investment, well, I can't really overflog this. Delayed investment, that is, you have an opportunity to put in some money and make some profit, even if it's minimal profit. Just some people just put that, oh, I'll do it later, I will assess it later, all those kind of things. It's also something about money that we need to put into consideration when you're doing your self-introspection. There is a law, Pareto's principle. Pareto's principle states that 20% of your activity is the cause of 80% of your outcome. So in this scenario, I'm looking at 20% of your habit being the cause of 80% of financial stress. So the first thing in this scenario, you can eliminate that 20%. Try as much as possible, maybe not eliminate, but reduce the 20%. It also applies to income. I was doing a calculation personally, and I found out that 20% of my time I spend on my side hustle, I make more money than the 80% of the time I spend in a full-time job. So it applies to almost every aspect of life. So you can flip it around and look at it. In your side, if you have a side hustle, are you really making more money from that side? If you have like 3 side hustles, you can look at the 3 of them. Which of them gives you more money per job, per hour, per whatever relationship you intend to do that calculation with. And when you do that, you should be able to add more effort to the side that gives you more money. So if you increase the 20%, say that gives you more money, if you increase it to 40%, so you will make about 180 more percent times more money. So it applies to a lot of almost every aspect of life. Maybe not completely 2080, but in some sense. So it's something we may need to also look at. As you're doing your self-introspection, you should look at what are the things that bring you more money? What are the things that make you to waste money? And adjust them appropriately. I'll try to speed up and okay, discipline. I think I've talked about some of these things already. We talked about investment. There's something called compound interest. A lot of people who like mathematics, like myself, will know what that means, but it is different from simple interest. Simple interest is interest per month on the amount, but compound interest will mean interest on the interest and the capital of the previous month. So it compounds, it becomes bigger. Sometimes it kind of explodes. Someone did a calculation. If you started saving $100 every month for the past 25 years, you make almost 3 times the amount of money if you start to save if you start to save $200 5 years after. You make almost 3 times the amount of money. So for instance, if 10 years ago, someone started saving $100, another person started saving 5 years ago and started saving $200. The person who started saving $100 10 years ago will make almost 3 times the amount, will have almost 3 times the amount of money in savings as the person who started saving $200 5 years ago. So there is a multiplier effect in repeating the same kind of savings every month for a while. There is this quote from Robert Collier that says, success is a sum of small efforts repeated day in, day out. Now, what does it mean? If you have a culture of saving 5,000, I think I did a calculation. Oh yeah, the calculation is down there on the slide. So if you save 5,000 monthly for 10 years, you have 600,000, and that does not include interest on whatever account you have been saving and the habits that you have formed. That is the discipline part. If you have saved, if you've been saving consistently, it becomes a habit. And if you don't save, it starts to feel uncomfortable. And the same way it comes with spending. If you start to spend very frequently, sometimes you get comfortable with spending always, and this also happens. So you spend, and if you've not spent, you start to feel uncomfortable. It talks about this title here says delayed gratification. Man, if you save consistently for 1 year, if you've not been saving for 1 year and you save consistently for 1 year, you can wait for the end of the year and give yourself a treat and tell yourself, okay, I've saved consistently. I should give myself a treat of maybe a quarter of a particular percentage of my income, not from your savings, of my income. I will use it to take myself out. It can wait. I told someone when the person traveled out of the country that you see all these fine clothes that are hanging in all these shops, all these highbrow shops, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and all that. Those shops will always be there. You don't need to push yourself so hard to buy them now. Even a better version will come out next week. So just wait. When you get to that point where you have the means, you will go there and you will buy comfortably, not looking at the price tag. So there's no hurry. As long as life remains and we are all on this, there will be an opportunity to, once you make the appropriate steps, take the appropriate steps, make the appropriate changes, there will be an opportunity to finally buy yourself that wonderful shoe or that wonderful bag or that wonderful car if it's your interest. I've said a lot already. And questions. I have one question for everyone on this call. And that question is, how many books have you read, books about finance, have you read in the last 5 years? I will answer mine, but I think it's something we can start the introspection from for individuals. For me, I read a lot of books because my dad made me to read them after secondary school. And after that, I had to pick up the habit of reading financial books. But one of the books that have turned my life around is The Richest Man in Babylon. I don't know how many people have read The Richest Man in Babylon here, but The Richest Man in Babylon kind of changed my thought about money. So, how many books have you read in the last 5 years? It's something you think. How many books you think about? You should think about how many books financially have you read about money, about not just gospel books about money. Gospel books about money are good, but how many books that were written by maybe someone in business about money have you read in the last 5 years? It's something we need to think about. If you've not read up to 5 books in the last 5 years, it might be something you might need to start considering. And if you're not someone who likes to read, there are movies about money. There is I think there's The Social Network. It talks about how social network started and everything. There's I think there's one movie, The Wall Street. So if you're not so much of a book person, how many movies about money? There is Mad Money. It talks about stealing of money, but it talks about also saving money, setting money aside for the rainy day. Then there is War Dogs, about money. It talks about business and how you should pay people who you do business with. That's what I took from the movie, though. So how many books, how many movies have you watched? So any other questions? Questions for me? Questions for Mr. Ken? Questions?
Thank you very much, Chidi. We are halfway through the conversation, and I hope you are getting value for your time. I hope you are getting value for your time. I'm here putting down my notes and, of course, having some to do. And at the end of the conversation, we are going to take out some of these instructions and operationalize them. So if you do have questions, please, you can ask them in the next 10 minutes. This is like a break, yes. We are 1 hour into the program. And Chidi, thank you very much. We are doing very good time. It's exactly 11 a.m. So we have a 10 minutes, questions back and forth, or just to help you think over what you've heard instead of ruminating. You know, in school, a period was like 45 minutes, right? 40 to 45 minutes. So we've ended first period. So we're going to take a breather like Chidi wanted to. If you need to take a cup of coffee, no problem. Take a cup of coffee, make yourself comfortable. If you have questions, we'll be willing and very happy to take your questions now. If you want to write them in the comment box, yes, you can write them in the comment box. And something I can say ahead, the book, one of the books Chidi talked about, okay, somebody just dropped Cash Flow Quadrant there, very good book. One of the books Chidi talked about, I'm just thinking we should read it because it's such a small book, but such a powerful book. It's small and there's fun reading the book. It's something you can go through in just a few hours. When you read it, take it slow and easy. The Richest Man in Babylon, very interesting book. So we'll look at it and we'll find a way around it. At the end of the conversation, I will talk about how we can read. So is there any question? Let me allow somebody ask a question. You can either ask directly or put it in the chat room and then we'll take it from there. Anybody having a question? Question for me, question for Chidi? You can put it in the chat room and we'll take it from there. So,
Okay, good morning.
good morning. Okay, that's Philip. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I have a question now. How to balance family commitment with your finance? Because sometimes there are a lot of commitments that involves family that you need to take care of. And I know that managing resources, it's very important, but sometimes these are very urgent things you really need to take care of, which it's mandatory for you to do. So are you saying that we should not oblige that commitment or just do the little that we can? Because there are incidents that where I have some commitment from family, I had to do the little I can, which raised a lot of issue. Why why didn't you do it completely? Why did you do that? Why didn't you do that? But I'm trying to let them understand that, see, I can't exhaust all my resources to do this, because if I do that, it's going to affect me. But sometimes, because of pressure and all that, you just have to still do it. Is it a right decision, or can you just decide to ignore and face whatever scolding that someone will go through on it, or just that's my question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Philip, for that question. There has to be a balance. I understand we as Africans, we have closely knit family. We have a tendency to kind of harm ourselves to help our siblings or our family members. And that's the place where we need to draw a line for it. Because take, for instance, if you took a loan to help your family, the loan becomes your responsibility. It's not the family responsibility. And you have to pay that loan and still help your family in the course of the year while you're paying that loan. So it's to find the balance between this is the best, this is the much I can do. And I think the second part of this session will help us understand that if you draw a budget, include in your budget family support. Now, there can be emergencies where maybe someone is going for an operation, they need to pay for health support and all those kind of things. But beyond that, those kind of emergencies where there is someone going into the hospital and all those kind of things, you need to be able to draw your budget and say, okay, this is my family expenses. This is how much we'll pay for transporting children to school. This is how much we'll spend for food. This is how much we'll spend for this. This is how much we'll spend for that. And this is what will remain. This is our savings. This is if you are a believer, or if you're not a believer, this is my tithe. This is when you finish removing all that, say, okay, this is what is left. And after this is what is left, this is the part that I can support family with. When it passes that, because the truth is, money is a scarce resource, and you need to apply it wisely across everything. Any mistake you make with that calculation, the money you spend enters into another need. So it's to find that balance and support at that, and sit at that balance.
Okay, Chidi.
Yes.
Let me just add this start from a personal perspective. I said to my wife some time ago that I liked being broke. It sounded funny. Why would you like being broke? There was a time I was broke and I liked it. You know why? Everybody who used to ask me for money, when they asked me for money, I really didn't have to give to them. So they moved on and they didn't die. They were okay. In Nigeria, they say last, everybody will be fine. So if you think the pressure is too much, what if you didn't have money? They will move on. Somebody said that I cannot live without you. You have died. The person is still living. So you have to look at that. And Chidi mentioned budget. So I'm not going to mention that. One last thing I will mention on this matter is one of the things I just learned from accounting recently in my program is there should be a separation between your personal money and business money. So if you can make that separation, it means that you cannot help beyond your personal money. If you like, finish your money, but don't go into business money and give to them. What will happen is they will spend it, your business will go broke, you will go broke, and since they're already broke, either they will laugh at you and they can't even help you since they're already broke. So, because one thing I've learned is people who take money from you when you don't have, they either laugh or they don't have to give to you. They still love you, but they don't have. And they ask you, you say no. So that is it. So if you balance that budget, trust me, everybody will be, you are not God, you are not Voltron. Everybody will be all right. Stick within your budget. They may not like you. And they don't even like you anyways. Your money they like. All right. So
Okay.
do you have any other question?
Yes, there's one question. There's one question in the chat.
Okay.
Pastor Demi said something. He said, if you try to save everybody and you think you are El Shaddai, that's El Shaddai is a name for God, which represents multi-breasted one, which means he can give everybody and still be sufficient. So if you take the position of El Shaddai, you will soon recognize that you shall die. So referring to trying to pick up people's responsibility and trying to take it up as your own and trying to solve all their problems. It doesn't ever happen. You need to find a balance. Let's go over to the chat. On the chat, we have Modest. Nkem, who says, good morning. You have said an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of your monthly income. Please, can you explain more? I used to put a particular amount, say 5 or 10K every month. Let me just explain. The emergency fund is supposed to be built over time. So it's something you aggressively put aside. For instance, you also have the story of Joseph, where he had 7 years of plenty and 7 years of little. So, and in that 7 years of plenty, he was setting aside, I think it's 1/5 of the ink of the entire food grains. And so if you're saving, you need to build it up to that amount, the amount you make monthly for 6 months. So if you make, say, 100,000 a month, you should build up your emergency fund to between 300 and 600,000. Then you set that amount of money into an account where you can access it. So that money gives you confidence. It gives you freedom. It gives you a mindset that is at peace, where you're not anxious. So if you go to the office and your boss talks to you anyhow, and you've read the book Why I Fired My Boss and how you too can do the same, you can as well fire your boss at that point and be at peace for the next 3 to 6 months, and while you're looking for your next job. So that's the purpose of the emergency fund. It's not a savings. It's not a money you can access. It's not money you can just use for anything. It's just money that gives you courage. When if your boss pokes you, you can poke him back quietly, and you know that I'm not advising anybody to be rude though, but it just means that you are confident that in the next 6 months you are fine. If something happens that you're not able to receive your salary, it gives you some kind of a leverage, kind of comfort leverage.
Okay,
I hope I've answered the question, Kim.
One comment on 7 years of plenty. This is the way I like that. Your emergency fund, one way to grow it is, he said, grow it over time. It may take you a year actually to grow it, or 2 years. Yeah? But one way of growing the emergency fund is taking from the 7 years of plenty. If you get some extra fund, he used the example, your salary is 100,000. You could just get an additional 50 or 100,000 from somewhere. Instead of immediately going into a spending spree because you got an additional money or you get a raise, put that 7 years or something from the plenty, put more in the emergency fund until you have as much money there, such that you can pay yourself your salary 3 to 6 months. That's the whole idea. It's not a fixed figure. It has to be something that should cover your expenses. Since you earn 100,000 a month, something that should cover you, yes, for 3 to 6 months at 100,000 each. All right, so that's that. If we have one more question, we'll take it. Chidi, we've done our 10 minutes.
Yep.
30, and over to you.
Okay, do we proceed? Are we good to continue? I'll just mention one thing. As Ken was speaking, he said something about if you have a raise. So there is something. There's a law by or a quote by Jesse Meckham. I think that's his name. Jesse Meckham, something like that. He said lifestyle creep is when your cost, when the cost of your lifestyle rises in tandem with your income. So when you have an increased salary, there's a tendency to want to buy better shoes, want to eat better food. You used to eat in Mama Put before. You tell yourself, man, Mama Put is no more Put. Let us go to somewhere else. And those kind of things. You now start to eat in is that Mr. Big still? Sorry, anyone that is related, you understand what I mean? So it's there's a tendency to do that. So if, for instance, you were living fine at say 100,000, it's possible to just tell yourself when you receive an increment, let me live with 100,000 for the next 1 year. And that increment, as soon as the salary comes in, it goes to that particular increment goes to an account where you save it. It's possible to do that. So let's proceed. We finished with this first part, and we've taken some questions, and we're going over to this part: income, expenses, assets, liabilities, and then we'll talk about personal cash flow. I'll show you the tool for budgeting, and I'll show you the tool for cash flow. Then we'll talk about budgeting. Then we'll talk about emergency funds again, and how it helps for financial stability. So let's dive in. Wow, this guy is counting coins. Good. So, income, expenses, assets and liability. Income generally, we'll be looking at salaries, side hustle, dividends if you have shares. If you're Bale of a community, maybe taxes you collect from the market people, all those kind of things. Those are income. If you have a side hustle, you may have a wage from the side hustle. If your side hustle is something that requires you to buy products and sell products, you should know that the total money that comes in from selling that product is not your income or is not your wage. You need to take off the capital and take off the cost of running the business. Then you look at whatever is left, and that is your income. That's actually the profit, because you can still divide that profit further by paying yourself as an income and paying the business also as an entity. So you need to divide all that when you're looking at income if you're doing a business. Then we talk about expenses. There is something from the same book we talked about, The Richest Man in Babylon. There's a question that Akkad asked the people. He said, when do you pay yourself? You pay when you receive your income. You pay the person that sews your clothes. If you receive salaries, you receive your salary, you pay the people who sell your clothes, who sew your clothes, you pay the driver that drives you, you pay your rent for your landlord, you pay your landlord for rent, you pay everybody. If your money doesn't remain at the end, even if you put aside some money for savings, you've paid savings accounts. When do you pay yourself? Do you pay yourself from your salary? You should pay yourself. This is the money I paid myself for going to work. I put a caption on one of the slides I didn't read in the previous one. I said, you need to also pay your health. You need to pay your health because, man, your health is an important part. You need to be servicing it so that you'll be able to even work and make the income. So then we discussed, we'll go over to expenses. What are expenses? There are some fixed expenses like rent. Your rent may not change except if your landlord is a greedy person. If not, your rent might be the same for the next 2 or 3 years. If your rent is the same for the next 2 or 3 years, you know how much it's going to be. you start to plan for it from the first month. If your rent is 1 million and your salary is 200,000, you should know that about 80,000 of every month's salary is rent. If your only income is salary, you should know that 80,000 from that, your salary is actually 120. rent is 80,000 every month, so that it will be complete by the end of the year. We know that God does good things. He comes and blesses us, but sometimes just plan. And when you are praying to God, thank you for helping me for receiving this salary, that I can set aside 80,000 to pay my rent. Not just always asking for something new. That's on a lighter mode, but seriously, your salary, when your salary comes in, there is a part of it that is for rent every month. Every month, a part of it is for rent. Let me not overflog that. Then there's variable expenses, like sometimes you may eat more of yam. When you talk about expenses also, I understand that tomato is about 2,500 per basket at the moment. If it is possible, you can buy for a whole year and put either boil it, get all the water out, make it to be a puree, and even dry that puree and have powdered tomato, dry it in an aired room and have powdered tomato for the rest of the year, instead of buying 18,000 or 25,000 in about 6 or 7 months time. So those are things you may need to look at when you look at variable expenses. I mentioned entertainment there, but beyond entertainment, food can also be part of entertainment. You can plan now and reduce your expenses in the long run. You can even buy the tomato and mix it with vegetable oil and cover it with vegetable oil, and that's after boiling and drying it, boiling out all the water. Once you pour vegetable oil on top, it will not spoil. Now I'm going into the kitchen part. But the truth is, there are lots of opportunities around variable expenses that you can always adjust and make sure that then you can also eat fruits that are in season. And when fruits are not in season, you wait till next time they're in season and eat the ones that are in season at that time. So that's for variable expenses. So you can always cut down your expenses. Then there are assets. Well, I don't know how many people know, but you can have a savings account that pays you some certain percentage interest. You can have things like what is to call it, treasury bill. If you have some extra money, you can buy treasury bill with it, and the interest for treasury bill comes at the beginning of the time. Now, this is not financial advice. You can do your own research, but you could do, I'm just saying things you can have as assets. So you put in your money into treasury bill, the interest comes in ahead of time. So you can actually take that interest and spend on things you need to spend on, or put it aside as an addendum to the next time you're going to buy the next set of treasury bill. So if you bought 500,000 and the interest in it is, say, maybe 50,000, this is just a calculation, a rough calculation. If it's 50,000, you keep the 50,000. When the treasury bill matures, you can as well put that 50,000 into the 500,000. You have 550. You invest 550. You get some interest. You put it aside and continue like that. It kind of sums up like compound interest also. And before you know it, that amount of money comes up to so much. You can buy a property. You can co-buy a property. You can buy a property with friends. Make sure if you're going to buy a property with friends, you should draw up a detailed, not, oh, we're brethren. We're not brethren. We're business partners. Oh, sorry, we're brethren and business partners. Call a lawyer, draw up a full agreement. Let there be arbitration plans. If someone defaults, if someone begins to spend much more money than you're making, there should be laws around it. You sign up a proper agreement and it should be a legally binding document. So that's about assets. Now, liabilities. Now, you have liabilities here. I wrote loan, credit card debt. Your car can be a liability. If your car is, say, you're driving a Rolls Royce and the tire is 2 or 3 times your income. If I'm supposed to advise anybody that is trying to build financial stability, the person should buy a Toyota. Now, Toyota did not pay me for this, but Toyota cars are really reliable. So if you buy a very good one, there's a tendency you drive it for a long time, and you will not have any issues. So if you're buying a car, your car can be a liability, even if the car is too expensive. Even if you buy a Toyota and the tire of the Toyota is your 1 month salary, and you need to change you need to change 4 of it, or you go to mechanic every week, that car can become a liability. It might be an asset if it helps you to save money going to work. It helps you. You have to do some other runarounds, and you're doing a business and it is helping you run around. If it is not helping you in any way, if it is only making you to spend money, it is a liability. So I mentioned loans here. I have a problem with loans, especially all these loan apps nowadays. I don't know if anybody on this call has received a text message. You were a guarantor for somebody that you did not know when you were guaranteeing. When the person asks for loan, they never sent you any document to sign. Those things, they can be frustrating. First of all, they make people, they debase the mind of people. You see someone, they will do a design. They will say this person has HIV. I don't even know what gives them the right to do that. They will do it and post it because you are owing them money. It is debasing. As much as possible, that this liability section, as much as possible, kill it. Kill it if it is possible. If you're making an income and you can manage yourself, cut down your expenses such that in say 6 to 9 months, you have paid off all the loans, all the liability you have, is as much as possible. It's something that we need to prioritize. I prioritize it. You pay off as much as possible so that someone doesn't just you don't feel ashamed. You don't feel, because that information you might think is just the loan company, but it is beyond the loan company. It extends to various aspects of life. Even as an individual, you may feel uncomfortable. You may feel you may not be able to have conversations as confidently as you would if you have loan spending. You don't know if the person has received a text message from the loan company telling the person that you are a guarantor. So all those kind of things, it debases the mind. As much as possible, eliminate liabilities as much as you can. If your house is a liability, convert one room to Airbnb and rent it if you own the house, or you also need to look at your agreement to see if he allows you to do that. Well, I have a lot of zeal around liabilities, so that's why I've spoken so much about liability. But seriously, as much as possible, eliminate liabilities, clear them out, make sure they're non-existent. And where possible, live within your monthly salary or whatever income that comes to you. So we have this. I hope I have that page open. Just 1 minute. So we have this cash flow. Where are you? Okay, yes, I have it open. Good. So track your inflows and outflows. So it still comes down to our previous slide. You should know what comes in at the end of the month. How much is my balance? Your savings is not part of your income. If you have a fixed amount savings, or if you have a percentage amount savings, your savings is not part of your income. I try to look at it like that because it helps me to save. It helps me when I want to save. I'm not looking at this money. As soon as the money comes in, I eliminate the part that is not part of my income. Then I start looking at the remaining part as my income. Identify surplus and deficits. So if you, as Deacon Ken said, if you receive a bonus, or maybe you do one business and money comes in, when it comes in as surplus like that, if it's possible, push it aside. Let it not affect your daily living. It is these small disciplines that will build up to the main success with money. So the extra money comes in. Maybe you receive a gift. You're a pastor, you're a deacon, you're a minister, or you help somebody, or you paid someone's school fees 5 years ago, and the person comes to you and say, "Oh, thank you so much. Oh, you helped me. I've now gotten a job." I said, "Let me bring a thank you envelope." All those monies are surpluses that have come through, and when they come through, you should try as much as possible to understand that they can pay towards either your rent, or pay towards, set aside towards your rent. I used to tell someone jokingly, when I was in Nigeria, I had about 16 bank accounts. And I had those 16 bank accounts for a reason. Some monies were coming in and they were going for specific purposes. I cannot eliminate God completely if I'm going to tell a story. But I went for a program and someone told me when exchange rate was 192, he told me this exchange rate will get to 500. And whatever you do, if you have some money that you're not using, set it as USD. Now, I'm not giving you that advice because that was my own experience. But the truth is, I set that money as USD. When the money got to 300, when I take $100 and change it, it was valuable. So you need to understand trends. So you need to if you're a prayerful person, if you're a Christian, you believe in insight, but just personal discipline. Beyond personal discipline, you also receive spiritual insight. Is when you start working in a direction that God will actually help you in that path. So that is deficit, that is surplus. Then, as much as possible, I like writing. I write as in when I'm going to shop, I write out what I need to buy. But some people don't like writing. Some people will prefer to use Excel. You can use Excel. Another trick is buy your things at the same shop where you buy things every day. If, for instance, you go to Next, I don't know if there's still Next now, but I know it burnt down some time back. But if there is Next, if you buy your things from Next, always buy your grocery from the same place. It will help you to stick to your budget. So you have to stick your budget because you know where things are. So there's a tendency to just go straight to those places and buy those things and not allow me to use the word gallivant. When you gallivant through the shop, you will see things that you want that you don't need. So, well, so I'll just share one tool. It's a very beautiful tool that I have found very useful. So I'll just, can you see my screen? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, good.
Yes.
So there's this, the link is here, right here. The link to this particular
I dropped the link on the chat.
Okay, good. Yes.
Yeah,
So
I've typed the link and dropped it on the chat.
Okay, so this is a beautiful tool. It allows you to see this view of, thank you. Gives you this view of your income. If you go to labels here, you can actually choose the currency. If you're in another country, you can also change the currency here. And you can choose the sizes if you want, but there's really nothing to modify. The default template looks fine and it's free. It's a free platform, except if you want to start doing more advanced things. There are also some versions for business people. I think I should be able to let me go this way. I'll come back to this. I just want to open a version for people who are in business, and yes, so so you can come to this Excel-like place and you can define various things. You can from here is the first part here. The toe is where it gets to before you now add a division. So if you give it a toe name, you can divide the toe into various things. Then each one that is the toe, for instance, you have home here, you can bring the home as a from home to divide it into other things also. So this gives you a pictorial representation of your expenses. So you can now start to look, oh, maybe I can reduce my grocery and dining out and all those hanging out. Or you can reduce your fuel. Or you can even save on fuel. Maybe you reduce the places you go to. Or Dangote is nice and it reduces the price of fuel. If it reduces the price of fuel and there's additional savings, you can add it here to your savings. Now I have 401k, which is a US kind of savings for, I think it's kind of like pensions, something like that. There is the Roth IRA, then there is this excess savings. So you should have an excess savings account with this design, with this arrangement, you should have an excess savings account. Now, this excess savings account is when you save money from fuel, or your health insurance says they are giving you a coupon. You don't have to go and eat it, or you don't have to go and eat it, or you spend it on traveling where you shouldn't have gone. You can just take that money and add it to your excess savings. You can build up your what is to call it, your savings, and say, instead of having 3 to 6 months of your emergency funds, you can have 1 year emergency fund. You can go bullish and have 1 year emergency fund from all those small monies that are saved from all this. And for people who maybe send money to family, it's possible also that you go 1 year and your dad tells you, my pension, they increased it, there was one bonus they paid, and hooray, it's happy for the whole family. They say they've increased his pension. You can cut down on the money you send them every month. And when you cut down on the money you send them every month, it still back pays you by you have extra money. You can add 1 more month to your savings account, to your emergency funds. So that's all. That you can always extend this. If you have additional expenses, for instance, you can come here and you can add a row. You can add a row here. And if I click 1 more row, I can add like this, and it gives me 1 more row. I can give it an expense, say maybe living expense. Let me call it living expenses, and I put it here and say, oh, living expenses, call this maybe childcare, and I give it 200. Superwestern numlock 200. So where's our living expense? So this is our living expense. It has joined into childcare. It should come in somewhere. Enter. It hasn't shown up yet. Okay. Living expense, childcare. How come we added there? Let's move this up. Living expenses. Okay. Yes, so that's living expenses. It's case sensitive, so it has to match correctly. So it has come down here as an additional expense of 200. So you can continue like that and it will look very beautiful. So you can take a screenshot of this, or print out this and put it on your wall, and you have access to it. So let me just show you additional information. Yep, go ahead.
Chidi, okay, let me try and understand this. You see the green part, which is like the arm, Abi?
Yes.
That's supposed to be your total income, your inflow, right?
This one, yes.
The green is the total inflow.
Yes.
Now, the next line with the red, the blue, those are your major expenditure heads.
Yes.
I can see taxes. Tax is gone, is gone. You can't break it down further, except maybe you are paying different taxes, maybe your home, your car. Okay. Now, for the rest of the expenditure, you are breaking them down into what you actually spend on. Exactly. And you can see it graphically. And you can, I think the size of each of the lines also kind of represents how much money you are spending.
Yes.
Okay, now let me ask a question, which I don't think, since you've used this tool before. If my inflow is, for example, 2 million, all of I remove, let's say, 100,000 for tax.
Yep.
I can't spend 3 million in any of the areas. It's not possible based on this. I can't spend more than is coming into this whole chart.
No, you can't.
If I try to, what will happen?
It most likely mark it as red.
Red. So that's like I have to do debt to spend more than I earned.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Can I put debt into this income?
Look at this now. Because I have included 200, you can see that there's a difference.
Okay.
It says some nodes are not balanced.
Okay. It's not balanced
Yes.
because you have an extra expenditure that
doesn't
income
add up.
to.
Yeah, there's no income to suffice. So if I go up, if I go up here now and I say, okay, instead of this 141, if I make it 141,700. So it has balanced out now. Gross income difference. Yeah.
Okay, you increase the income, right?
Yes, I increased the income by 200.
Now, in that income, can we put in the word debt now?
No, the debt will be somewhere here, like student loan, all those things.
So not like student, that's paying back student loan.
Yes.
I'm looking at the green, the inflow.
Okay, being a loan.
Gross income. So if I go to where is the total salary? 141, right?
Yes.
What if I want to add the total salary, then there's dividends? If I want to add something in between them,
if you add a fresh name that doesn't exist, okay, take for instance now, I want to add maybe another income. Let's say it was another income, let's say
a gift
or
loan.
So I can say gift. If I just do gift and I say it fits into gross income.
Yes.
Income.
Okay.
And I give it, say, maybe 1 million. Who knows? My pen might be a senator or something. So just give him. So the size will increase, but let me just give it. Let me give it 1,000.
I can. I'm trying the same thing here.
So I'm sorry. Gross income.
I can see what's happening.
So see, it has added up to the gross income.
Okay.
So that's gift. If I make it 10,000, for instance, so it's added up to the gross income.
Yes, actually put 1 million, like you mentioned first, and the gross income has grown. So I have more to spend.
Yes.
But I cannot decide, like we be saying, instead of spending this on groceries, my savings.
Yeah, you can do your excess savings and increase the excess savings.
I suddenly can go put 500,000, half of my gift income there, so that my savings grows. Okay, I'll play with this. It's graphical and useful. Thank you very much for this.
You're welcome. So, and you can see, if you're not accounting for all of the money from this graph here, you can see this green tab here that shows gross income. It is hanging below here. It's this overhang. This overhang here shows that an amount is not complete. An amount is not explained. So if I change my savings here from 14, that's excess savings here from 14 to 24 for the 10,000 I put, you can see that there's still an overhang here because it was not fed into savings. So you need to go up to savings where you have savings on the toe. So you have gross income to savings and increase this one also to 40,000. So now it has balanced out. So it has extended and balanced here, and it has increased this one too.
So normally your income and expenditure should balance. So it's not something like, I don't know where my money went.
No.
This actually shows you where your money went to.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll just show you this other one. So you can, if you scroll down here, you have some, it's not this page.
My own does not have extra page.
Okay, no. I went to the home page. I went to the home page. That's skankyart.com. Just .com.
Okay.
So if you go to features, is it features? I saw it yesterday. I can't remember where I saw it now.
Yes, I can see that now.
There is.
Sit down here.
Sorry, someone is speaking.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll handle that.
Okay, I think if you go to create a diagram, I'll dig through and find it and see where you will see there are templates for
Are you taking your
various
Gary? Is that making Gary for you? Or give me your
um
laptop. When you
someone
finish
is
taking your Gary,
speaking.
you'll come.
Someone is speaking.
Okay, hello, please mute your mic. Okay, don't worry. I think I'll handle it from here.
Yeah. You don't eat and watch now. Go and eat your Gary first. When you finish, you come.
Okay, Chidi, done.
Okay, so there is I think there's a more templates here. So you have templates here, so you can choose what type of template you want, and this cash flow, this energy. So if you go to the base of the screen, there is this small footer. There is templates here. So you can select for almost anything, and you can click through them. So this also this is for job search. So if you're looking for a job, you can know how many applications, you can divide the ones you've replied. So you can do an average of calculation as to how many you need to apply for to receive enough replies that proceeds to an interview, that proceeds into the first task, second task, final interview, and all that. So there's so many. I think that's, you can always poke through the site, and they have some free versions and then they have some paid versions. So you can stick to the free one and it serves, it works. So back to our slide. Now budgeting. I think we've talked about, but one thing that most people look at budgeting with is we look at budgeting as a control, as a restriction and not a control. I like what John Maxwell says. John Maxwell says a budget is telling your money where it should go. That's tell your money, go in this direction, than asking yourself, where did my money go? If you go to a supermarket, we have some ladies on this call. If you go to a supermarket and you don't have a list, there's a tendency to buy things you wouldn't need. As much as possible, it takes you an extra 5-10 minutes to make a list. It's not just budgeting. We just talked about a budgeting tool where you can actually draw up all your things. When you finish drawing it up, you should be able to make a list in your house and tell yourself, these are the things I need. This is the income, this is the amount of money I have to spend towards these things. What is the priority? Tick the ones that are priorities. You may choose, okay, for instance, instead of spending 20,000 on pepper, you can choose to buy a smaller amount of pepper and buy more egusi and cook a larger quantity of soup than buying pepper that you don't need if you don't like so much pepper, except if you like pepper. But I'm just trying to make, you can buy more rice, and instead of buying, will I say more yam, if yam is very expensive at that time. It's just, you should be able to draw up a budget and drop a shopping list and stick to the list as much as possible. Why I talked about in the previous slide, I talked about shopping in the same place. It helps you if you have a list and you know the shopping complex, you know the plaza you're buying things from, you know where things are. Some shops, as a marketing, a bit to sell more to people, there is actually a psychology of arranging the shops such that in a way that you go through every aisle before you finally get to what you want. And now sometimes they modify that arrangement. It is a marketing strategy. Don't be caught in it. Don't be caught in it. It's like someone selling something that you don't need to you. You would obviously know that this person is trying to sell something to you, and you will find your way around it. So the same thing applies for shopping. I always, as much as possible, shop in the same place. And when I shop in the same, I know where things are. So I just go straight. I spend maybe 10 minutes shopping. Once I went to a plaza that was almost 4 times the size of the one I used to buy. I used to buy things in. When I entered the place, after walking for a while. I saw several things that I wanted that I didn't need. I just told myself, I say, you know what? Go back home. When you're driving, when you're getting close home, you go to the shop you are familiar with and buy what you need there. And I did that, and I saved. I don't know how much I saved, but I know that I didn't spend more than I had planned to. It's a continuous war. You need to keep fighting. They are marketing. They are trying to push things to you. Someone said every notification, every app you install is a marketing is some marketing strategy being pushed to you. Take for instance TikTok. You once you download TikTok, they tell you turn on notification. You turn on notification. The next thing, XYZ posted a video. You open the video. As soon as they say, oh, something related, they push you. Something related, you scroll. Something related, you scroll. Before you know, you have spent 25 minutes, if not 1 hour. So it's the same way, the same strategy that is used in the shop. They employ PhDs, that's people with PhDs in psychology, to go to the shop and look at the lighting, look at the floor arrangement, and look at the entire arrangement of I don't know if it extends to Nigeria, but certainly all those videos are available on YouTube. I've watched some of them on YouTube where they just talk about how the floor, the type of floor and the type of light helps you to buy more things. So don't feel pressured. Oh, I saw what is called a custard. The color of the bottle was blue and the custard was yellow inside instead of white. And because of that, you buy more than you need. You should, as much as possible, stick to only what you need at that time. So that is for budgeting. And as much as possible, draw up a budget. We have a fancy tool. I can provide Excel sheets that help you to budget. You can always you can use pen and paper like me. It's old school, but I feel that when I see what I've written down, I write the vision down and I make it plain. So, so that's for me. But use whatever tool you have at your disposal and you feel most comfortable with. Some people will prefer this tool because you can take a picture of it and remind yourself daily. Then, where possible, buy things in bulk. I talked about tomato being on sale at the moment. I think at low tides, that's during dry season, fish is actually cheaper. So you can always save on buying fish. You buy fish, you dry it out, make sure it's dried properly, all those kind of things. It helps save money. And once you cut down your expenses, it's also a means of actually increasing your savings. I wrote here, help prioritize. Why is prioritize with a Z, not an S? Sounds American. Okay, help prioritize values and goals. So prioritize what is important. When you budget, it helps you to prioritize what's important. If you sit down in your house and write a list, it is you do a better list than when you go out to the shop and write a list at the shop car park. Or you go to the market and inside the market you're writing a list in your head. You do a better job when you have the list because from the house you can actually go to the cabinet, check your curry. Oh, I have curry that will still last me for 2 months, so I can wait on curry. Those kind of things. So it helps you prioritize. You buy the right things you want when you drop a budget. Let's move on. Now we've talked about this already. Emergency funds, the importance of putting an emergency fund together, 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses. Some people will say essential expenses. Some school of thought will tell you of your income. I like the of your income part because that's the more difficult one. Sometimes some things that are more difficult are easier to are more rewarding in the long run. So if it's possible, if you have an income of say maybe 500,000 and your expenses are say at the end of every month you don't spend more than 300,000 when you expense including your expense for your rent, which I said is part of your monthly income. If you finish removing all those expenses and you don't spend more than 300,000, you can build your emergency fund as your expenses. But if you have extra zeal. Deacon Ken said, if you are motivated. So if you are motivated, you can as well build your emergency fund to be your income, your total income. If you build your total income, trust me, more money has never been a bad thing. More money in savings has never felt bad. So if you build your emergency fund to be your income, it means you can live the same lifestyle for the next 3 to 6 months without feeling uncomfortable. Without feeling uncomfortable in any way. So build your emergency fund. The emergency fund acts as a buffer during job loss, illness, crisis, when you fire your boss, all those kind of things. It acts as a buffer. I can't overflog this. It's something that it's an active step that needs to be taken. So build emergency funds. I'll just run through a case study of 2 other friends of mine. All of us working in IT, and two of them had they had a part-time contract, and the contract came to an end about the same time. One person was leaving, Mark, names changed for anonymity. Mark was one of those guys yippie guys. You buy the latest Air Jordan for 200 and something. That's an equivalent of 500,000 naira. He will buy Air Jordan and he will wear the Air Jordan to work and show off his Air Jordan. He had the best laptop. There's nothing bad when you know that the contract is going to come to an end in 2 years and you should start setting money aside. So, and Sarah, well, kind of very, very, very speculative individual and also introspective in her way of making her decisions. She had 3 to 6 months of breathing room. I call it breathing room here because that's essentially what the emergency fund is. So it gave her 3 to 6 months to be fine after the end of the contract. Sorry, the end of the contract. Because of the nature of the society that this was drafted, their experience was revolved around. It gave, in this part of the world, or in the West generally, there is a tendency we pay rent monthly. So she didn't have any need to pay to take a loan to pay her rent, because obviously she had a buffer. So for 6 months actually, she had monies set aside that was enough to pay off various monthly expenses and bills. Then Mark, on the other hand, was already going cap in hand, asking for money. He had to get a credit card. He got a credit card obviously earlier, but now he was back on his credit card and he couldn't catch up with the debt. Then I included loan apps here. It might not be a credit card like you find in the West, but it might be loan apps. If you don't have the means to eat, if you have a responsibility, you have family, you have children, there's a tendency, you see them hungry, you are pushed to take a loan just to form a buffer for them. So that is something you can avoid with having your emergency fund set aside. Then there was investment status. So the investments they both had, because they have, for some IT companies, what happens is you have shares in that company. As you work, the number of years you work, you have some part of the shares. So Mark had to sell off his shares. He liquidated them, and that meant he couldn't make profit on the shares. And he sold them at a giveaway price because he was in dire need of money. But Sarah has saved, and she didn't have to touch them, and they continue to grow and make her profit even up till this day. Then career choices. You can see that she was more strategic. Her next job she went about it confidently, no hurries, she was not on the edge, she was not on the edge. She was just looking for the job at her own pace. But Mark would accept any job just because he was desperate and he needed to get out of debt. Someone said something that has resonated with me for a very long time. If you don't have emergency funds, if you don't have money set aside for the rainy day, if for any reason you get to a point where you need to make decisions, there is anxiety that is attached to those decisions. Someone gave me a job. I designed websites on the side, and someone gave me a job to remodel his website. And when I looked at the site the person wanted me to remodel it to, I was like, okay, very good, it's possible, but I need X amount of money. And because I was not desperate, I have a 9 to 5 which I work at every day. I could tell the person, no, I'm not going to do this job for this amount. I'm going to do it for this amount. If you don't want to do it, you can as well go. I'll save my time and save my money, and you can save your money and go and do it somewhere else. There'll be so many people who will tell you I can do it cheaper. So just you can meet one of them. And now the point I'm trying to make is you're not desperate for a job if you're comfortable with your emergency fund. So if you're comfortable with your emergency fund, you can tell yourself, no, I won't do this. I will do it for X amount. And you say it confidently, not being rude, not bragging, but that's the amount you have been able to price yourself at. So this was the experience for Sarah and Mark. Then you have stress, emotional stress for Mark, anxiety. He was anxious about several things. Then someone just drew a mark on my presentation. So you have this person anxious and worried about several things, but you have this Sarah confident and able to network. You go for a dinner with friends. You're not worried about the bill. When they say let's split bills, you're worried about what you eat and how. I know split bills doesn't work in Nigeria. I don't know if it now works, but some people, sometimes you go out to eat and you have lots of friends around. Everybody pays for his own food. So sometimes, so if you don't have some money to fall back on at this kind of situation, when you're having those kind of meetings, you're worried, oh, I should not eat too much so that it doesn't look like I cannot pay or I don't, those kind of things. It's just removed from this thing. Then there is opening and opportunities. So the person is this Sarah was open to opportunities, being able to travel, being able to go in and meet people, clients. But it was difficult to meet up for Mark because he always wanted money, needed money to be able to travel to another town to I think that is essentially everything. Oh, that's essentially everything. And there's just some personal tax I think we just need to run through. You need to track all your expenses for the next 30 days. As I said, my dad got me to do. It's helpful. Just do a money diary. Tell yourself, okay, this is all where my money I spent it. It will help you with your budgeting because if you know your money diary, you'll be able to do your budgeting more effectively. Then reframe your mind. Money is good. Money is important. Money is not a luxury. It's something that is attainable. It's something you can work towards and achieve. So just reframe your mind. Tell yourself truths that you believe, and convince yourself to believe the truths that money is important. It is truly important. Then I said, draft a personal cash flow map. So I showed you the cash flow map. You should draft your own. Do a proper budget, save, invest. If you have a loan, gather people and beat it. Gather your money together and beat the loan. If you have a liability, interest is adding up, beat them. Some of those interests can be very frustrating. Just beat them as much as possible. Then write a letter to your financially free future self. So if you're not financially free at the moment, write a letter to yourself and tell yourself, okay, in the next 5 years, when I'll be financially free, this is what I will tell my current self, or this is what I will tell myself when I'm financially free. So I should be able to afford a Rolls Royce, and this is my mindset, and I should go for meetings. I should things, whatever you want to tell yourself, just a letter to yourself based on what disciplines you intend to implement today, not tomorrow. No procrastinations. That will be all. So any responses, questions, reviews? I have one question for you. What book will you read? Will you look for today and start reading?
Okay, I have an answer to the question for everybody. I'm going to answer that question on behalf of everybody because this journey is easier together. When you are in a network, they say, show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are, right? They say your net worth is equal to your network. That's the way they say it, right?
Yes.
They say if you have 5 billionaire friends, you have to be a billionaire. Not if you have 1 billionaire friend, you may not be a billionaire, right? I know 1 billionaire. But if you have 5 billionaire friends, you are a billionaire. So we'll do this together. And I want to start with the book you mentioned. There are other things coming up. The Richest Man in Babylon. I'm starting with that because it's easy, it's beautiful, and it leaves you a lot of principles you can apply to everything. So for everybody still on the call, please take this as my special heartfelt thank you. You've made my day, right, Chidi? You know how I feel about this kind of conversations. Thank you very much, Chidi. Of course, thank you, Chidi. But for everybody who have spent this time with us, the interesting thing was some people came in. Somebody was here before I even opened the class at 9:45, and she's still here. Yes, I think she's still here. So Modesta came in. Modesta was on my case, can send the link and all of that. I am very grateful for the time you have spent, but to make it worthwhile, we are going to do more than just attend class. When you attend class in school, they give you your textbook, they give you homework. Chidi left us with 3 homeworks. And 1, I said, track your expenses for 30 days. That's very simple. Spend money, write it down. Spend money, write it down. The truth is, you'll be surprised at the places your money is going to. Baby, Chidi is no longer digestive biscuit for us. Now, it is Munchkins. I don't know any other person who is addicted to Munchkins. I've seen somebody's office and met a full carton. I told him, man, we all eat this, but we don't buy it in cartons. He said it's cheaper in cartons. So those who know Munchkins, it's 500 cheap. It's not 20 naira. We are addicted to it. So that's that. Track your expense. 1, reframe your money beliefs. That I'll help us with that. Then draft a cash flow map. He has shown us that. So having ended this section, and for the people who missed the class, this recording will be available. This session is recorded and it will be available in a few hours. Latest by tomorrow, the recording will be available. 1. Then 2, I invite you to join us in a community called the Growth Cycle, Money Code Growth Cycle, so that we can do this journey alone. Now, that's where I will share the recording, I will share the book, I will share the template, I will share the slides, so that we have this one community where we are encouraging each other on the journey so that we do this together. So if anybody is interested, I'm going to share the link to the group and I'm going to have us join. And then, like I said, nobody graduates on the first day of school. Hello, everybody. This is the money code. This is the money school. Nobody graduates on the first day of school. You don't collect your certificate on the first day of school. And like we had said at the beginning, you don't actually graduate. You keep growing and growing. When you become a billionaire, you keep growing, you keep growing. So we are going to come together in that community and then we're going to continue learning. We're going to start with the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Then I'm going to also drop some money affirmations. Chidi talked about reframe your money mindset. I'm going to drop some money affirmations to help you in the way you think about money. To say that, oh, money is attracted to me. Yes, money is comfortable around me. All of those kind of affirmations. I know Jimmy, we know a lot about affirmations. So we are going to put all that in the group. So I'm going to send us the link to the group and we'll take every other conversation from there. And one last thing I want to say before I let us go. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, David. Thank you for being with us. One thing I want to say before we go, This is going to happen every month for this year. So from the group, the conversation will continue. And if you think there's value here, I think you should let somebody, bring in somebody for the next meeting. So we're going to have a lot more speakers. Now, let me tell you what we'll be looking at next month. Income, leverage, and wealth pathway. Income, leverage, and wealth pathway. Income, leverage, and wealth pathway. You must understand what is leverage. You cannot work all your life for money. You work for money, the money starts working for you. What pathway do you move from working for money to money working from you? I have 2 speakers lined up already. And then in March, we'll be looking at strategy, structure, and execution. Strategy, what's the plan? How do you structure that? And then for me, I don't believe it's enough to have a plan if you don't execute the plan. A plan is useless without execution. So in March, we'll be looking at strategy, structure, and execution. February, we'll be looking at income, leverage, and wealth pathway. So I'm looking forward to these sections. And if you are, join us in the group. Let's keep the conversation going. I'm going to share the book in the group. I'm going to share the video in the group. I'm going to share every other material in the group. Actually, I have a question I want us to deal with. I'm just going to share that. 20 ways that you can double your income in 12 months. Because this is a 12-month program. How do you double your income? The first thing is pull down the figure of income you earned last year and then double it. It's possible to double your income. If you start thinking, what are the 20 ways I can double my income? If you write them down and you work on even just 5 of them, you may be able to do. The 5, Chidi taught us about the 80-20 principle. If you work on the 5 key ways you can double your income, for somebody like me, I know one of the key ways I can double my income is to sell more. Sell. Yeah, whatever I'm doing, sell it more. I can double my income instead of doing the 80 that is not giving me as much value. So all that said, that brings us here. And I want to once again thank you, Chidi, for spending your money with us. You didn't go for your coffee. You cannot go for your coffee after the class. Thank you very much for that. We didn't let you do your British ways. We kept you in the Nigeria way. And for everybody who has been here, Victor Komalafe, Juliet has been here, Casey, Frederick, Idianos, thank you. Irabo Gostime, Favor Jimmy, Damaris, of course, David, I see you and what you do. Lanry, we need to have our meeting. I'm back. I'm fully available. So just let me know when. So thank you all very much. It's been my pleasure hosting this time. We wanted to wrap it up by 12. We are 10 minutes over 12, but it was time well spent. So we'll meet you in the group. I'm going to send a group invite to everybody. I'm going to share the videos on the group. I'm going to share materials on the group as well. Now, the book we are going to start reading together. Let's read that book for February, sorry. It's a short book. You can finish it in 1 week. But let's all read that book together for February, and every other thing will be shared in the group. So it's been my pleasure being your host. And once again, I say thank you all for staying. Chidi, thank you for your time. So till I see you all in the group, until our next meeting, be the best because you are the best. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you in the group. Bye for now.
Thank you, Mr. Ken.
Thank you,
thank you, Chidi.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Tunde, I see you.
Mr. Ken.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, engineer.
I see you, Mr. Tunde.
Okay.
Last time, thank you. Thank you all very much. Larry, thank you too. Thank you all very much. So we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys soon. Geraldine, thank you for staying with us all through. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Chidi, thank you very much. We'll pack it up for now. Bye-bye.